Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. My name is Don Puno, and I will be your host for today. It's our pleasure to welcome you to our fifth industry panel discussion on how do you find air freight space during the pandemic, brought to you by RW Solutions. RW Solutions is headquartered in Hong Kong and currently has 9 freight forwarding networks that are into industry niches. RW networks are very much focused on handling capabilities of forwarders from pharma, perishables, NVOCC, and FCL to geographic interests like Africa, Middle East, and Latin America. By having specialized groups, members engage in more meaningful business exchanges with more qualified networking across their various brands. At present, we have over 900 members from 100 countries under the RW umbrella. All of our panel speakers for today are coming from various RW networks. Today's program will last about 1 hour. Now, at this time, we would like to open up the microphone to our audience to get to know all of you a little bit better so that our speakers can understand who their audience is. In this segment, you will be called out, so please unmute yourself and introduce yourself by mentioning which company and country you are from, what time it is where you are, and why you are excited to be part of this panel discussion. All right, let's take a look at the room right now. And we call on Barbara Sarex. Are you there? Barbara, are you there? Barbara Sarex.
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Barbara. Where are you joining us from today?
Yeah, this is my first time. Even I got so many times you invited me, but this is my very first time. So I'm going to be positive audience tonight.
Okay, great. Where are you joining us from?
I'm from Vietnam. I'm from Hanoi, Vietnam.
Yes. Hanoi, Vietnam. Okay, so yeah. I know more or less what time it is. It's a pretty late night for you,
now
isn't it?
Now it's 9 p.m., yes.
9 p.m. Okay, great. Yes. Well, what are you hoping to get out of today's discussion?
Actually, the issue about the air freight space, it's happening in Vietnam. It's madness. Very hard to get space, and the rate is very expensive. It's the same in China and in another countries as well. So hopefully I want to listen up from speaker today for getting any solution or any way out to give the solution for client and we gain more business.
All right, excellent. Hopefully we can give you some more insight after today's discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's move on to another guest. Let's talk to Hannah Lee. Hannah, is it Hannah Le or Hannah Lee? Are you there? All right, I think maybe Hannah's taking a bit there to join us. Let's go with Melanie Ramirez Sungguad. Are you there, Melanie? Hi, Melanie, are you there?
Yeah, hi everyone.
Hi.
This is Melanie from Victor's Freight, Manila, Philippines, and I hope that we're going to have a wonderful and a very meaningful discussion for tonight.
All right. Thank you for joining us. Someone from my neck of the woods. I'm also coming to you live from the Philippines as well. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, let's go ahead and bring in one last person to introduce. Is Noel Buddy there? Noel? Noel Buddy? All right, how about we just go ahead and go with Stephen Alves. Stephen, are you there?
Hi, how are you today, Don?
I'm doing great. Where are you joining us from today?
From California, Los Angeles. It's 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'm just here to learn more about the different challenges from across the world with the air freight spots and booking air freight and so forth. But I wanted to see it from the perspective of many different people of different parts of the world.
All right. Excellent. Excellent. I used to hail from Los Angeles myself, so it's good to see we have people from all over the world today. It's fascinating. All right. Thank you, Stephen. Okay, so we'll go ahead and move along with the next part of our program. So let's go ahead and get to know our speakers for today. All right, so please forgive me, of course, if I mispronounce the name of our speakers. I hope I get it right, but let's go ahead and start by introducing first Manuel Theophilus. He is the Overseas Director of UNI Logistics, Northern JSC from Vietnam. He is one of the members of the Freight Summit. All right, next we have Stefan Haltmeier, CEO of Quick Cargo Service GmbH from Germany. He is one of the members of Life Logistics Network, Global Air Cargo Alliance, LATAM Forwarders Club, and the Freight Summit. Next, we have Arthur Santinbunyarat, Group Managing Director of Amazing Logistics and Supply Chain Company Limited from Thailand, and is a member of Global Air Cargo Alliance. Lastly, we have Jabir Salam, CEO of Alpha Cargo Services from Saudi Arabia. He is also a member of Global Air Cargo Alliance and the Freight Summit. Okay, so today, our main topic is, how do you find air freight space during the pandemic? Before we proceed, may I request you to switch into the side-by-side speaker screen? And we have prepared 4 questions for this topic, and I'll go ahead and start with the first question, and that is, well, quite simply, could you give us a short introduction about your company and specialization? So let's go ahead and start first with Manuel.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear, Manuel.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Manuel. I'm calling in from Vietnam, and I'm very honored and touched by the RW Solutions invitation to join the panel. Basically, introducing myself, I have 32 years experience in the freight forwarding industry, out of which 25 years has been in Dubai, as one of the leading air-to-air and air freight forwarding company. And the rest of the time, for the past 6 years, I've been in Vietnam with UNI Logistics as the overseas director. We specialize in basically networking with all the overseas companies all over the world in order to facilitate the movement of cargo, whether it's air, sea, road, transshipments as such. And UNI has been in the industry for the past 20 years. We are head office in Hanoi with offices all over Vietnam. And that's a short introduction about us. Thank you, Don.
Okay, thank you so much, Manuel. All right, let's go ahead and move right along to Stefan. Hi, Stefan. If you could turn on your microphone, that would be great. There you go.
Okay, better now.
Yes.
Hi, Don. Hi, Christian, Nils, everyone. Good to see you all virtually here on the page. My name is Stefan Haltmeier. I'm from Quick Cargo Service in Germany. We're a family-owned company now in 3rd generation. Company has been existing for 47 years. And we have offices throughout Europe, such in the Netherlands, UK, Poland, Denmark, and Germany. Head office is in Germany, where we have 14 offices here in Germany. And we would even be considered as one of the top 10 private-owned IATA agents in Germany. We employ about 270 staff. Our core business is naturally air freight. I'd say 60% of it, 40% sea freight. And yeah, I'm proud to be here on the panel, and thank you for letting me talk to everyone, exploring how we can get space and how do we can we future or grow further after these pandemic times. So look forward to talking to you all.
All right, thank you, Stefan, for joining us. All right, let's go ahead next to Arthur. Hello, Arthur, are you there? Can you hear us? Okay, I see his screen, but I don't think he quite can hear us, or maybe there's some lag. We can go ahead first. Oh, there we go. Hi, Arthur.
Yes. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you guys invite me to be a panel speaker. Okay, so I'd like to introduce ourselves. That we are Amazing Logistics with the headquarters in Bangkok, Thailand. We also have a branch office in Phnom Penh, Cambodia, Yangon, Myanmar, Vientiane, Laos, and then in Ho Chi Minh, Hanoi, in Vietnam. Our core business, I would say that we are core business is our airfreight. It's 60% of our revenue is from airfreight. And then secondary by sea, and then also the cross-border truck in this region, that we are ready to serve our member, not only for Thailand, but also in this Indochina or CLMV region, that for the transit cargo in and out this region to Cambodia via Bangkok, to Myanmar via Bangkok, or to Vientiane via Bangkok, it is most welcome. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Arthur. And lastly, but not least, Jabir.
Hi, Don. Thank you. So I'm Jabir Salam. I'm CEO of Alpha Cargo Services. We are 21 years old as of this year. We had courtesy a rebrand. Otherwise, you can trace our origins back to 1982. So we're one generation less of what Stefan is representing. I've taken over from my dad. So it's second generation logistics from our perspective. We are a Saudi civil aviation regulated agent. So effectively we're quite capable of handling time critical cargo. And we're also the GSA of Malaysian Airlines, aside from working with IATA on the Interactive Cargo Task Force. Our offices are Jeddah, Mecca, and Medina, besides an office in Dubai. So I guess we're bringing the Middle East side to the panel.
Right. We have a good spread around the world right now to answer these questions. All right. Thank you, Jabir. All right. So we'll go ahead with our next question, and we'll start right back at the top with Manuel. So the question is, how do you manage to get air cargo space with airlines nowadays? Manuel, can you give us your input on this? Hi, Manuel. If we could just get your microphone unmuted there. There you go.
Sorry. How do you manage to get air cargo space with airlines? It's a pretty difficult question and a difficult way to go about it, considering the situation all over the world. I think Stefan and Jabir and everybody will comment and say that it is quite difficult at the moment. But I think if you look at the world perspective and how you can tackle the airlines nowadays, basically what we think to do is to focus a lot on the transshipment with the airlines to get cargo out of Vietnam. We have signed contracts with airlines which in some cases turn out to be pretty useless because there is no space. I mean, any BSA agreement which we have signed with the airline does not give us the space, leave alone the rate. So we try to consolidate with other forwarders in such a way that we can buy out more space from the airline. And the next option, what we do is get into chartering it. I mean, that's the major thing which we try to get into. I mean, that would be my intake at the moment. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for your input, Manuel. All right, let's go ahead and go to Stefan. Stefan, what are your thoughts on this? Hi, Stefan. If you could unmute yourself as well, that'd be great. Thanks.
I always forget this. Yeah, I was just saying when the question came up, I thought, do I really want to be on this panel? It is really a difficult task, and as I say, I can only speak for my region, for Germany, for Europe, and yeah, it is true. It's very difficult, and as Manuel already said, I mean, you need very, very good contacts to the airlines, and you need to be a good customer, I think, with the airlines. But I say the situation we're in at the moment is that it's actually a market where even the big multinationals cannot do better than we do. The airlines are not interested to sell BSA agreements for the winter schedule, particularly here in Germany, and the space is very limited. They rather go out selling ad hoc rates because I think that the market is so intransparent that they do see better situation for themselves, making more money on going ad hoc than rather selling BSA agreements. But how do we get the space? Yes, it is very difficult. We have, I mean, besides Quick Cargo Service, we also have a brokerage company where we where we sell space in the market, in the German market. And obviously there we have big volumes and we have a strong power towards the airlines where we can try to pressure a little bit with volumes. And that helps us with certain airlines. We are business partner with Lufthansa for many years already. So there is a certain obligation to also give us access to their space. But if you get space, then the next question is, what is the rate to the space? So it is more or less the contacts that we have mostly. Plus we try to group ourselves. We have this concept, and I've spoken before about it. It's called the igloo concept, where we are a number of agents, 23 agents, who then where we group as a one and then attack the airlines and try to get with more volume, with more weight, and that helps us here and there to also get better speaking position with the airlines. But generally it's very difficult, and often we have to talk to many airlines, and depending on the destination we are looking for rates. A lot of it is ad hoc at the moment, and it's at the moment it's a good contacts we have. And I mean, it's not that we are getting space. It's just what we are missing is the belly loads to certain destinations that are not there yet. But the US market is now opening, so we do see a little improvement there. And the other markets, we go ad hoc.
All right, got it. Thank you for that. Arthur, how are those? How's the situation in your part of the world?
Well, in Thailand also, thanks for let me share something about Thailand, Bangkok, Thailand. Space now is getting more and more critical, especially now. The Q4 this year, and now it's in November, almost the last month of the super peak season. And then how we manage to get the air cargo space is a good question. That we have to be recognized by the airlines. And recognized by the airlines is mean that you have to have a good recognition and a good historical data that how you support your airline partner, and then with the specific route and destination. Yeah, as nowadays we are amazing company. We are ranking number 19 up to September. We are ranking 19 of IATA ranking in Thailand. And then the airline knowing us that we are more focused on the USA bound and Europe. And then we have a mix. We have a good projection of the cargo that we will have in the coming week or month. And then especially we have a good mixed load between skip cargo and loose carton. You know that airlines nowadays, they are very selective in picking up cargo. They are very picky. If any bulky cargo or loose space, they will low priority. Yeah, so our cargo in hand is combination between loose carton and skid. So we can maximize the space utilization of every PMC or URD. This is our key point, that the airline will love us, that whenever we make a booking cargo, and we have to know the market, that how the situation will be, and then how high demand in the coming week or month. Then we can do some projection, and then we can book space in advance, 2-3 weeks, and then to reserve with the actual cargo coming in. If you just wait actual cargo coming in and you just start booking with the airline, you never ever get the space. Yeah, so we have a good projection and a good rate negotiation. We have to admit that the airline also doing business. Now they are very selective to pick up the high revenue. So we have to let them make some good money on our freight. The situation nowadays is who can move the cargo. We don't talk about the price. If anyone still argue and keep pressing the price, you never ever get the space and move your cargo. And your goods will never ever to be sold in the USA or Europe, right? So if a customer willing to pay higher, pay more, and then we can secure the space, at least more or less they can have the goods to be sold in the USA market or Europe market during the greeting period. And then we also have a good combination for the cargo in this region. We have a mix-up from a Myanmar cargo or Cambodia cargo or Vietnam cargo to consolidate in Bangkok and move it out. This is our strength that we manage to get the space from the airline, and then we also not benefit only Bangkok, we also benefit in this region, that Indochina region, that we have a transshipment from Cambodia, Vietnam, and Myanmar weekly and regularly. Yeah, this is what I can share to you. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Arthur. Sounds like simple supply and demand economics there. So yeah, understood. Okay, can we hear from Jabir? Jabir.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted now.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, thanks for making me the last one to speak, because my fellow speakers on the panel, I think, have more exports to do than I get to do from the Middle East part. And in fact, the challenge generally is when the rest of the panel is able to get their space, we're left fending for saying, okay, maybe there's a cancellation somewhere, or we have to work really creatively out here in the Middle East, because the general response we get from the airline is, sorry, as Arthur just said, you know, the rates are sky high from parts of Asia, for instance, and hence getting that space approved for origins from the Middle East is quite tricky. So what we're actually doing out here at the moment is we're getting really creative in terms of moving cargo between the different origins in this country, in Saudi Arabia primarily, because here, even now, there are only a few airlines which are operating at previous, let's say, pre-pandemic frequencies. So we have even more challenges in getting into the airline hubs, with the exception of perhaps, say, Saudi, which has generally space to offer because this is the origin. But what we're basically doing at the moment is we're getting a little more acquainted with the likes of web cargo, for instance, and trying to convince the airlines to accept and kind of honor bookings which are made through web platforms such as web cargo, because that's interesting for us in terms of what comes up in terms of space as well as the rates. And aside from that, what I'd say is it's quite interesting what happens when you have to keep playing with the quantities on a portal like web cargo. And yes, as Stefan said, good relationships with the airlines always help, because they offer a few creative solutions themselves, and that relationship generally bails us out. As in, for instance, we speak at regional levels, so space gets found magically at times. We may not have space in the evening, but perhaps at the stroke of midnight, we get a very interesting email saying, hey, here's your space. So that's how we're operating out here at the moment.
All right. Seems there are a lot of common threads between the four of you on that one. All right, let's go ahead and go to our next question, and we'll go ahead and start at the top again with Manuel. What is your business activity in air transshipments, and what benefits does air transshipments bring to forwarders?
Hi, thanks, Don. Interesting question at the moment in this COVID time to talk about air-to-air transshipments when you don't have space to get cargo out from one destination to the other. So I think the pandemic or the COVID time has defeated the air-to-air transshipments in some sort of way, because it it's taken us out of the equation of the air-to-air, and a lot of us focus on the other one, which is the sea-to-air, right? We did used to do, and we do some air-to-air transshipments into areas like hard to reach, like West Africa via Dubai. We use mainly Dubai and the Middle East as a major hub for us, going in even into America and Canada and Africa. So it has brought about quite a big change in our working system when we do air-to-air transshipments. Notwithstanding saying that the cost of it is pretty high, but we usually do it for shipments which are meant, like for emergency or urgency or time bound or time critical shipments. Is that when we use it to to give a better edge to our customers and to their competitors. I mean, that's what basically it brings to us at the moment. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Stefan, how feasible is it for your business?
Well,
You're on.
I'm
Yeah, you're
unmuted
on.
already.
Yeah, you're unmuted already.
Surprise. Yeah, it's not that it is that common, I have to say. Out of Germany, we did get confronted with certain with areas where, for instance, we were asked from a Brazilian agent whether we could handle his US freight, meaning that he would send it from the US to Frankfurt and we would on-forward it to Brazil. We also had similar requests from China to the United States, where they also seemed to have problems, asking us to fly freight from China into Frankfurt and then pass it on to the United States. In the end, the rates were extremely high. Of course, the rates are everywhere high, but in times of this where we are in, you have to be very inventive, and all of a sudden you see very new flight paths and ways how cargo can get to a certain destination. And of course, if rates are going sky high, like it was from the US to Brazil, and even though there were not even capabilities at all, then you look into certain areas, and similar to what I just explained via odd, but it is, we go to the east and then back to the west to fly cargo into Brazil. The disadvantages there are, of course, that you have twice the fuel surcharge to be paid. Also, you have a transit handling charge that it has to be paid. Transit times are generally longer, and of course, you need to have the space, and space everywhere is tight. So, but we did a few shipments we had like that just to help countries and agents out, but it's not really that I would say is that common. Not as in the old days where we had the sea air business from Asia to Europe. But alternatively, okay, we from China, we do a lot of rail business now, which is a compromise between air freight and sea freight. But even those rail systems are also fully booked, so that we were even trucking freight from China to Germany to please our customers. So as you see, a lot of things we are all getting very innovative, and things what you see, which you thought were never possible, all of a sudden become possible. And yeah, so that's what we were doing with air. We also sometimes have, of course, transshipments where lately we had, where there was still a political issue between the UAE and Qatar. We had shipments flying in from Dubai into Frankfurt, which we then passed on with a new airway bill then to Qatar. But those are not COVID issues that had to do with the political system, that there were no flights going into Qatar. Yeah, but that's what I would have to say from air shipments, and I still think it's for the European side, it's not really that common way to move cargo.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you, Stefan. All right, let's go ahead and ask the same question to Arthur. What are your thoughts on this, Arthur?
Hi. Okay. The transit air.
Hello, Arthur. Sorry, I think you're a little bit choppy there. I think your screen just froze for a second.
The economical way. Can you hear me?
Yes, I think we can hear you now. I think it caught up. Go ahead.
Okay. So the transshipment air is not focused on the cost effective, but will benefit to the forwarder or the end user by the solution how to move the cargo to reach the destination. Yeah. As just now I mentioned that we have a lot of cargo from Myanmar, Cambodia, or Vietnam that to transshipment via Bangkok airport. And then, but somehow the feeder, the airline operator still not enough space capacity, like a 737, like 727, that a narrow body, they have a very limited space. And they have a 50 cbm or 100 cbm cargo have to move by air. So in this region, probably the land air could be the solution by the cross-border truck. Yeah, because we have a bigger capacity that we use a 40-footer equipment to move the freight in one shot. Yeah, we have ever break the record by 40-foot container from Yangon to Bangkok. Yeah, that we have ever moved the Yangon cargo. Yeah, and recently we have a Cambodia cargo about weekly, about 10 to 20 40-footer from Phnom Penh to Bangkok airport to get connect to Europe and to US. As a multimodal transport operator, of course, air-to-air is the first priority that the customer would like to see and have it, but somehow they're facing the space limitation by the flight, that the feeder that from the region, because it's a narrow body aircraft. And then we have to apply the multimodal transport like a land air or airline. Sometimes we also have a cargo from Europe or to USA to get into the Myanmar or Cambodia. And then the flight is from the US, from the Europe is out by freighter because it's all oversized cargo. So the capacity for air freight from Bangkok to Myanmar or to Cambodia is not applicable because the oversized cargo. So the cross-border truck will be the alternative or solution to get the cargo, have the cargo get moved up to the destination and to reach the door of the consignee. That would be the solution. Yeah, this is in my presentation, in my part of view. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Arthur. All right, let's get your take, Jabir.
Thanks, Don. So effectively, currently in Saudi Arabia, we don't really have a lot of air-to-air movement because Saudi Customs is still working on facilitating air-to-air transshipments. We are currently working on doing or piloting sea-to-air. This actually started off at the start of the pandemic, but it's been on hold for a while because of the reduced number of flights and everything else that's going on. But as Otto was saying, for instance, what we are also doing is we're also trying to move shipments between airports here. So land to air is pretty much the norm for us, especially when we want anything over a few tons to places like Brazil, especially Brazil, or what was the other one, as in Russia. As in what we're seeing right now is new markets are opening up, or new trade lanes are beginning to take shape from Saudi Arabia, for instance, because what we did not previously see much tonnage of, we're seeing quite regular tonnage. To Stefan's point earlier regarding Qatar and the UAE and Saudi Arabia, we're pretty pleased that the blockage is over, because we're happily shipping a lot more, flying a lot more on Qatar Airways these days, which is a handy option to have. Otherwise, we're kind of at two different ends of the spectrum when it comes to price. I think we're all having the challenge when it comes to Emirates pricing at this stage. But having said that, again, we are very optimistic that we'll have air transshipments from Saudi Arabia in the next quarter or so. But aside from that, in terms of Dubai, we see a lot of congestion at Dubai in terms of what people are reporting with respect to imports, and emails from Donato are very consistent, the ground handler very consistent in telling us to adopt bookings for collection of imports, etc., because it's just the airport's pretty packed at this stage.
Mm-hmm. All right, thanks, Jabir. So I guess all in all, an expensive option, air to air, no doubt, and just getting innovative seems to be the way to go. I guess when you start going to horse and carriage, that'll be really interesting if we start going back that far as the technology. All right. We're going to go ahead and do this last question, and we'll do this one in reverse order so Jabir can get first crack at a question since it's our last one. So here's our last question for today. What are the air freight trends you believe forwarders should keep an eye on? All right, Jabir.
Thanks, John. So, okay, guys, I can't piggyback off anyone now. So
I'm lucky enough.
and I, just at the right moment when he asked about trends to look out for. So what we're actually keeping an eye on is the adoption of technology and how the different players within the ecosystem are actually adopting it or allowing us to adopt it. I mentioned web cargo early on. We're looking at things such as how we can facilitate better bookings, have a little more of, let's say, a reliable eye on what sort of capacities we can actually get through such portals. Besides that, we're also looking into how we can kind of optimize or facilitate a little more transparency when it comes to service levels. So for instance, we're part of IATA's Interactive Cargo Task Force. And what we're looking to do is effectively facilitate standards when it comes to real-time tracking of cargo. I think this is something which is going to be mainstream in the near future, because effectively when it comes to special cargo, these days we still have outdated technology, so to speak, in terms of the industry still adopts a lot of the data loggers, which from my perspective, seems like we're just holding back a bit too much. Because come on, it's 2021 and we have a lot of computing power in our hands with respect to mobiles and everything else that's going on. So I think real-time tracking is going to certainly feature, not milestone based, but actually knowing where special cargo is in real time. Aside from that, again, with respect to digitalization of the entire operations, as well as I think we hear lots more from, let's say, Lufthansa talking about digitization, which is quite nice, but we're also keeping an eye on what happens with other aspects, such as one record from IATA, so that we can have clarity on what's happening, especially when it comes to things such as interline shipments, because we've kind of been at the receiving end when it comes to interline carriage. So we're kind of very keen to see how technology kind of facilitates better adoption of what capacities we can get and what rates, etc., we could facilitate.
All right. Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jabir, for your insights on that. All right, let's go to Arthur. Arthur.
Well, what I can see, and then I can projection of the year to come of the air freight is the pandemic, the COVID-19 is getting recovered, and we can see that more and more travelers traveling across the country. Give you the example, the Thai government just announced to uplift the 14 days quarantine for the foreigner, that whoever have a complete of vaccination, 2 dose vaccination and fit to fly, and have health certificate that he or she is free from COVID-19, that is all welcome to Thailand. And then this is one of the example that the other country also will apply soon, that more and more travelers traveling across the board, and then they will result to the more and more passenger flights to be operated. They may resume the frequency same as used to be, like for example, the EK, the Emirates Airlines, used to fly the 4 flight times a day between Bangkok and Dubai. And then during the COVID pandemic, they reduced the flight operation, only 1 flight a day. And then when the high demand of the air cargo, they have converted passenger to be cargo flight. And then, but still the frequency is not as much as the normal situation. Then I can see the next year, the more space allocation will be resumed from the passenger flight. And then we'll get more space capacity. However, we still have to look at the sea freight operation. That we know nowadays that the heavy congestion and then the delay of a sailing schedule by the sea freight. You see that in LA, Long Beach Port, more than 50 vessels anchor and waiting to berth or discharge at the LA port. Even though Mr. Biden announced to have a 24/7 to have a full operation day and night, but still, lately we heard that at the airport in the US, there's not enough the truck or the trailer to move the cargo outside the port. So even though the port operator have a full stream to work day and night, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, but still short of trailer or driver, and then still backlog in the major port, seaport. This result to that the delay in the sailing or shipping schedule, they have to convert it by sea to air. And you see that now more and more high-tech product have to producing, especially for the battery item that for the car, for the Tesla or for the full EV that more and more coming out. This also sensitive item and need to be shipped by air. So we can see by the time that the space capacity is resumed. But however, in the meantime, the demand in the market is still very strong for the air cargo space activity. So I can foresee, and what I projection, this is my personal opinion, that the Q1 or Q2 next year, the demand still there, and then but the price may be slowed down a bit, declined a bit, but could not be low as the year 2019 or before pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is a situation that I can projection for the year to come. Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Thank you for your predictions on how everything's going to turn out in the next quarter or two. All right, let's see from Stefan.
Yeah, hi. Have I got am I unmuted?
Yeah, you're unmuted.
Oh, very good. So what are the trends that the forwarders should keep an eye on? Well, we recently noticed that when we were negotiating our rates winter schedule, particularly to China, we noticed that some of the Chinese carriers were negotiating rate at the receiving side for shipments coming out of Germany going into China, meaning that we had no access or we were not able to negotiate rates or in space that much on the German side, while it was already negotiated and taken on the China side. This is something which is getting more and more nowadays. That even on export side, we cannot buy the rates here in the space. And if that is a trend, we really have to keep an eye on that, because that would be similar as in the sea freight, that rates are sold on both sides by the carriers. That's not good for the freight forwarding industry, for instance. Of course, we have to keep an eye on all these mergers. Just recently, again, it was Maersk buying Senator, another freight forwarding company, and meaning a shipping line, getting into air freight, getting into the freight forwarding side of business, where they are actually getting into our part of business, the freight forwarding. And I think that's also a dangerous thing where we need to keep an eye on. Whether or not we have an influence on it, I guess so, no. But in any case, we need to see the trend and try to adapt. Another thing I think is the multinationals. We always have to keep an eye on them. Obviously, they have other opportunities to buy charter flights, to buy their own space. I mean, they're not as much depending maybe on on the regular airlines as we are, where we more need the belly capacities and so on. These multinationals, of course, they start with making up their own airline more or less by wet leasing aircrafts. That's another trend where mid-sized smaller companies would be difficult to do the same. I think we need to look more into niche markets as well, not forgetting the pharmaceutical business, aviation business, and other niche where others and big freight forwarders are not as flexible in. That's a chance for us, smaller and mid-sized companies. And as Jabir said, of course, technology is always something where to keep an eye on. We have to look at these platforms, comparison platforms, for instance, where customers can maybe go onto a platform, key in their data, whatever shipment they want to move from A to B, and then get access to rates based on, I don't know, Schenkers, DHL, Kühne+Nagels, and Quick Cargo. And of course, it's always difficult to compete against the big boys. But if this technology comes up, of course, we have to make sure that we are also joining and being on those platforms. Yes. What else? E-commerce, courier. That's also something we need to keep an eye on. That's the growing market. I just read an article in Germany that the freight, the actual freight, is not growing as much as expected. And of course, e-commerce is getting stronger. It's also flown, of course, but it's in the Amazon's hands, and they are starting to fly their own cargo and handling their own cargo. And this is business which is taken off from cargo from us freight forwarders. So there's always an eye to be kept on the e-commerce and companies and courier companies, obviously. And I just think we need to be wide awake, and we also have our advantages as mid-sized companies. We're not asset driven. We are much more flexible, and so there's always a niche for us to be in the business.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Stefan, for your insight. And last but not least, Manuel, can we get your insights?
I'm happy I'm the last now, so I can just say I agree with all of you. All of them perfectly all right on the dot. Touching base on what Mr. Author had said, yes, the situation in Vietnam is so critical, is that we just watch and wait and look and see how the trend is going to go, which airline is going to go flip-flop, or which airline is going to cut capacity, and where do we run and what do we do. I think those things we got to keep a major eye on. Obviously, watching what the multinationals are doing on the side, also getting into our capacity with the airlines, and pulling fast ones under the normal forwarders. Yes, I think by 2022, the mid of it, I think the space and rate would be comparatively down as in 2019. But we'll have to watch and see, because the trend in Vietnam is that once you get the chicken by the neck, you just keep on holding it till the guy dies or does something about it. So it's not necessarily things would come back to normal. So that's what we would have to keep an eye on. We should also strive to look for more solutions to get out of freight where there is no capacity, like we were discussing about air-to-air transshipments or multimodal. I always, in my past career, always is a firm supporter of multimodal of sea air through Middle East to Dubai. I think Jabir will know how well Dubai has grown based on the sea air traffic, which we used to handle quite some time ago, and look for better solutions for cargo, whether we go east or whether we go west. We would also look into options and trends where we can follow into Thailand, where it's a big hub where we can take off from there, and also look into how air freight is evolving. I mean, the products which we can we can promote, whether it is pharma or igloo, as Stefan comes up with, or any other product. Ultimately, I think the name of the game is to try to give the best solution to the customer. I mean, that's my take on it. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Manuel, for your insight, and to all our speakers, virtual round of applause. Thank you so much for giving us your input. A request, perhaps, if you could put your information on our chat box so that people who need to get in touch to get your services, they can go ahead and find a way of getting in touch with you. So that would be great. Okay, guys, thank you so much for your contribution to RW Solutions' fifth panel discussion. Manuel, Stefan, Arthur, and Jabir, we really appreciate you making time for us, and we would like to thank everyone that has attended our panel discussion today. Please be advised that our next panel discussion is scheduled for December 2, 2021, and our next topic will be, what are the opportunities for freight forwarders in Africa? I hope that you guys had a great time today. Thank you so much for attending. If you do have the chance, please do visit our RW website where all our networks are showcased. You might be interested to be joining one of our networks moving forward, where we promote partnership networking amongst freight forwarders. We have also left you a poll. If you could please take 2 minutes to fill it up, it'll be very helpful for us to improve our panel discussions moving forward. Once again, my name is Don Puno. I've been your host for today. Thank you so much and have a beautiful day, everyone.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Good
Bye.
evening. Bye.
Look after yourself. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you,
Bye,
everyone.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bitte? Ah ja. Der Jimmy hat mir gewunken, ja. Ich konnte aber nicht, weil ich war ja mitten im Gespräch hier da. Hier.